How's it going, guys? White Rabbit here. I am not normally the type to call people out for being shills. In fact, in the past, I have debated other guys like Red Pill and Free Radio Revolution on videos that they have put out talking about shills. You know, when I was, just a couple months ago, before I started up my own YouTube channel and actually started posting videos, before then, I knew that shills existed, but I had no idea the army that these people have at their disposal. Now, a few weeks ago, I decided to post a video about creation, and it was, titled Creationism versus Evolution. And what it was basically just part of another video that I came across talking about the New World Order, and they happened to mention creation in the video. I thought it was so good, I figured I would just take that portion out and post it as its own video. So I did. I didn't really think much of it when I posted it. I just thought it was kind of a cool little video to put out there. And I thought I had a lot of interesting points that it made. Well, now, fast forward 3 weeks, it is by far my most viewed video. Now, granted, I'm still a new guy at this, and but it's still 340 views. Now, that's almost double my next most popular film video. I had no idea that this creation versus evolution thing was such a hot topic for these shills. It's unbelievable. I posted that video, and immediately the shills started pouring in. And now you might say, well, right, White Rabbit, those, how do you know those aren't just people who disagree with you? Just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean they're a shill. I agree. I agree completely. In fact, that's what I used to argue with Red Pill and Free Radio about all the time. I used to constantly bring that up to them because it used to irritate me to no end when I would go on to the videos and make a little critique, and all of a sudden start getting attacked and accused of being a shill. Well, now I get it. Shills are very real and very active online. I don't know how many of these people they have, but I assume they must have a fucking army of these guys, because this is insane. For a little dinky video like mine on a tiny little channel like mine to get all the attacks that it has gotten just floored me. Now, how do you know if they're a shill? Well, I've been really hesitant in the past, like I said, to call people shills. I don't like to do that unless I'm 100% certain that they are a shill. I don't like to call people shill. And the reason is because, especially on the topics in which we usually discuss, which are, conspiracies, hoaxes, all that kind of thing, obviously, especially somebody new to this type of information, they're going to be resistant to it. And so I don't like calling people shills right off the bat, and in turn risk alienating somebody who isn't a shill from our goal, which is to wake people up and inform people and show people what the hell is actually going on here. It's hard enough to discover the truth. There's enough bullshit that you have to go through digging for this stuff before you come across the actual truth out there, and I would hate to be yet another roadblock for these people to get through. So, in the past, I have been very hesitant to come right out and call people shills. But this creation video that I uploaded has opened my eyes a little bit to this very real thing, okay? The fact is, there are clearly shills out there. And I'm not an expert on them, but through this avenue of creation, I've been able to kind of decipher how they go about attacking things. You got to understand that the shills' whole role, their whole job, is to keep people asleep. That's their only job, okay? And the way that they accomplish that is by slandering what somebody is saying, putting doubt in people's minds, flat out lying, getting people totally off topic. They do whatever they can to keep you asleep. That's their job. And the bigger the agenda, the bigger the cover-up, the more of a threat the potential truth is, the more they attack. The more forces they gather together to go out and attack these videos. Because they realize that if the truth gets out, and if people start waking up to this, it's incredibly devastating to their end goal. Now, I realize that there are a lot of truthers out there who do not believe in the Bible. That's fine. I accept that. All right? If you don't want to believe in Christianity, that's on you. All right? And if you think evolution is real, that's fine. That's your decision. That's your belief. Okay? But what you have to understand is that it is just that. It's a belief. And that's what these shills are so trained on instilling into your head, is that it's science, when it is not science. And I don't think it's that much of a stretch, people who start waking up to these hoaxes and conspiracies and everything like that. You don't have to dig too terribly deep into this stuff before you could see that it's possible that you've been lied to in school. Your education has been corrupt. If you dig into this stuff very far, you start to realize that, of course, your history books have been altered and changed. So I don't understand how people could think that the science books wouldn't be altered and changed too. But that's neither here nor there. If you want to believe in evolution, that's fine. The point of this video is to talk about the fucking shills that go out and attack creationists, though. Because this is a very pertinent and serious topic that we need to address. And you need to ask yourself, why are the shills so compelled to go out and attack these creation videos? That in itself should pique your curiosity. Now, like I said, I posted this creation versus evolution video a few weeks ago. And just 3 weeks ago, I was still in the mindset of, I don't want to call people shills, I want to be patient with them. And right away, I got several comments, maybe, somewhere between 5 and 10 comments that were clearly from shills. I mean, they had all the cues. You go onto their page, and everything on their page is on a different creation video that they're bad mouthing, that they're bad talking, and everything like that. But it's not just that. It's also their icons, had some sort of symbolism in it. One eye covering, vampires, lightning bolts, you name it, okay? True Illuminati, Freemason, Wiccan type symbolism in them. That isn't accidental. And they either had that and or they always had some stupid screen name like, one that I saw was Reptilian Freemason. I mean, give me a fucking break. If that doesn't tell you that that person's a shill, I don't know what does. Alright? But it's easy to see. If you just go on to their pages, the ones who are dumb enough to let the stuff post on their page, it's plain as day to see that they're shills. But it's not just that. You can also tell by the way that they talk, and I'll get into that in a second. But I started debating one guy who I suspected might be a shill. But I was hesitant, okay? I was very hesitant to call him out on a shill because his icon didn't raise any bells in my mind. And his name didn't really raise any bells either, okay? Although, when I went on his page, everything that he commented on was a creation video, and every one of them was negative and derogatory in some way, okay? But still, I reasoned to myself, well, maybe he's just a guy who is really passionate about evolution and goes around and comments on these videos. Maybe he's the type of guy that likes to argue. I don't know. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And we started discussing this thing, and we started going back and forth. And keep in mind, I was going back and forth with him before I had really watched other creation videos. pretty much the one that I posted was the only one I had ever seen. Okay? So I knew very little about this creation topic to begin with. And only after I posted that video did I actually start going off and researching creation. And guys, holy crap, alright? The creation model makes way more sense than the evolution model. But, you know, again, if you want to believe in evolution, that's fine. But, okay. But I started debating this guy. I debated this guy for several days. I mean, probably at least a week, going back and forth, several times a day. I mean, that's why I haven't been posting very many videos, basically just because I've been getting in so many arguments with these evolutionists about, you know, their voodoo science. I went back and forth with this guy for a long time. I went back and forth with this guy for several days, like I said. And in the midst of our discussion, or I guess kind of towards the end of our talk, after several days of arguing with this guy, I finally got him to send a link to some supposed evidence, which I took a look at and, of course, didn't prove anything, you know, which I took a look at, and you know what I found? Almost nothing. Certainly not enough to go off and certainly not enough to go and prove the theory of evolution. But after that, this conversation kind of died out, and another guy joined into the conversation. And I'm not going to list his name. I'm not going to come right out and tell you what his name is, because he ended up actually subscribing to my channel. And I respect him a lot, even though he believes in evolution. He is an evolutionary biologist, for crying out loud. I respect the guy a lot. I really do. Because, see, he is an example of somebody who joined the conversation, brought some good info, okay? And we had a good dialogue, and believe it or not, I learned a hell of a lot from him, okay? I'm not a scientist. And he was explaining some things in DNA and so forth, and genetics and things that, you know, I kind of slept through in high school. You know what I mean? So he helped me out on that perspective, and I thank him for that. He kind of opened my eyes, whether he realizes that or not. But he's a real person, okay? And it's very easy to tell who is a shill and who is a real person when you're talking with them. You see, shills are only concerned with putting out disinfo and keeping people from researching certain topics into more detail and keep people from believing certain things. You know, when shills go out and attack these videos in the comments section and everything, they're not doing that to argue with you. They're not there to argue with the people who they're actually conversing with. Their role is to keep everybody who reads those comments from going any further. They're not concerned so much about the person that they're actually sitting there arguing with. Although I'm sure that has some role to do with it, but their biggest role is to keep the reader of that comment, all the people who go on the page who don't normally comment on videos, all the people who read through the comment section to get a little better grasp on things and the vibe of the video and how many people believe it and how many people don't and so on and so forth. Their role is to keep those people, the average person, the average viewer on YouTube, from researching anything any further into depth. That's why it took me so long to get this original shill that I was talking to. That's why it took so long before he actually sent me a link, because he wasn't really concerned with proving me wrong. He was only concerned about instilling doubt into anyone else who would be reading that comment. And finally, after I brought up so many points, I presume is the only reason why he ultimately came out and sent a link, was because I was making so many points to him. He finally sent the link, and around and around we went, you know. But most people click on that link and they don't really investigate it too much. They just click on that link and they go, oh yeah, there you go, that's proof of evolution, you know, when it's not. And like I said, this other guy who was a real person came and joined the conversation and added a lot to the conversation. But see, they approach it from very different angles. The real people who disagree with you will carry on a dialogue with you, and you will go back and forth on equal parts. You know, you'll make your point, he'll make his point, and so on and so forth. That's how it works. That's how real people communicate and debate each other. Shills aren't interested in that. And it's, of course, you get a hell of a lot of these shills that just simply go on and immediately start name calling and everything like that. And that's, honestly, that's the most effective way to handle the majority of people who view these videos. Because if you can get enough people commenting on that video saying, oh, this is stupid, blah, 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 yada, 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 then the average viewer of that video who scrolls through the comments in that section goes, yeah, this guy's, talking shit, he's talking crazy, all these people disagree. Even though all those people in the comments, all those shills in the comments, have given no evidence to retort anything. All they're doing is bad-mouthing, and you happen to already agree with their particular stance. And it's a hell of a lot easier to keep in your head what you already believe to be true than to completely radically change the way you view things. And that is why it is so hard for creationists to get their message out. Because nobody wants to hear it. Because we're all conditioned from a very early age to believe in evolution. And that's why they are so insistent upon pushing this evolution agenda in schools and taking out creation from schools. It's not because one is science and one is religion. Don't get confused about that for 1 second. That is not why. It's because they know that if they get to you first and they already convince you that it's true, then it is a hell of a lot harder for a creationist many years down the road to convince you otherwise. And you might ask yourself, well, why does it matter if they teach evolution or not? What does that benefit to them? Well, surely if you've gotten to this video, then you've also come across other New World Order type videos and occult videos and things like that that explain that that the powers that be, the elite who are pulling the strings and controlling the world, you have to already be aware that they worship the devil, okay? You have to believe that they worship the devil because that's what's driving all of this stuff. And they realize that if they teach evolution and if they convince people that evolution is science, if they convince people to believe in evolution, then it has a direct effect on how people interpret the Bible. And that's if they keep their faith. The majority of people who learn evolution in school at a young age lose their faith in the Bible when they get older. And that's fact. I mean, that's how it works. And one of the biggest agendas for this New World Order is to create a one world religion and to get people away from the Bible. Alright, now this video is getting quite a bit longer than I originally expected it to get, so I'll go ahead and just wrap it up here. What I'm really getting at here is that the shills are very real. I mean, surely everyone should be aware of that at this point. I guess I was just taken by surprise that the shills attack evolution so vigorously. Because I had never considered evolution having that big of a role on the New World Order agenda. But now once I step back and I think about it, it makes absolute sense. It is a huge focal point for them to push evolution. Now, whether it's true or not, whether you want to believe it or not, doesn't matter. The point is, it is a very serious and important topic to the elite. It is crucial to their agenda. And I think you should just, ask yourself why. And I believe you owe it to yourself to really look into the creation side of things. Really look into what creationists say about creation. Do a little digging, do a little investigating. I assure you that any question that you have in regards to creation is answered by one creationist at some point. So the fact is, it's not a ridiculous theory. That's just what they want you to think so that you don't research it. So I implore you, please, just give it a chance. Just investigate it, okay? Just hear what creationists have to say. And whether you agree with them or disagree with them from that point on is, that's up to you, all right? But I think they make a very compelling argument. And at the end of the day, if you really know where a creationist stands, if you don't agree with them, you at the very least respect their position. So, if you haven't already watched the evolution video that I put out on my channel, please go ahead and take a peek at it. And if you have already taken a look at that channel and you're still kind of on the fence about the creation thing, or if you still have some more questions about it or something like that, please research it. The guy in the video, Dr. Kent Hovind, this is another thing that the Shills will do. They'll attack Dr. Kent Hovind because he's in jail. They won't go after what he actually says, okay? Because what he says makes way too much sense to go after, right? They instead turn all their focus on the fact that he's in prison, as if him being in prison for supposed tax evasion is somehow reason to completely disregard anything he ever said about creation. I think that's just silly. And if you've been really researching conspiracy theories and things for long enough, you come to realize that for the most part, when people become too big of a threat to the New World Order agenda, they are ultimately eliminated. And whether that means killing them or throwing them in jail, somehow they find a way to silence that person. And that's just one more reason to research this thing, because they obviously don't want you to. So please, take a look at it, give it a chance. Aside from that, please be aware that there are shills out there. It's obvious. Once you know what to look for, it becomes even more obvious. Once you have first-hand interactions with these people, it becomes even more obvious. And it's just something to be aware of whenever researching any conspiracy type topic. Okay? So thanks for listening. Those of you who stuck through to the end of the video, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Share this video if you think it was informative, and God bless.